Okay, so I think we can get started now. Welcome all to our Latin American regional workshop on scientific TinyML, scientific use of machine learning on low-power devices. Good morning. In your part of the world, it's morning. Here we're in the early afternoon. My name is Marco Zennaro from ICTP, and I'm the organizer from the ICTP side of the workshop. Short introduction about myself. We're going to meet the whole week. So I'm a research scientist at the ICTP, the International Centre for Theoretical Physics in Trieste, Italy. And I have been working on IoT since very long, since 2006, when this technology was called wireless sensor networks. I organize training activities in many different places, about 30 different countries. And there's some pictures of happy participants on the right from different countries and environments. I'm hoping going to be as happy as they are in the pictures. And over the years, I've seen the evolution of this technology. So when I started in the early days, this was quite expensive. So I remember that Sunspot kit was about $500 for a kit. That was not, that long ago, only 2007. And nowadays you can buy an IoT node for about $5 US. So it really changed quite a lot, and it enabled people to come up with many different ideas and to work on many different projects. And I hope during this workshop you will learn about TinyML and you will come up, with new ideas and projects for your students and for your university. Workshop team. So it's myself, Marcelo Orvai from Unify Brazil, that you will get to know well during this week for many of the lectures, and Vijay Reddy from Harvard in the US, which is one of the three organizers. So we have about 180 participants from a number of Latin American countries, and there's 17 different countries. Most of them in Latin America. We have few participants from Spain, and most of them come from our TinyML educational network. And you see there's the dots here showing universities which are already part of the network. You're going to learn more about the network in just 1 second, but it's really wide, ranging from Mexico to the north, Guatemala, Costa Rica, we have Panama, we have Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina, and Brazil. You see, we go from Mexico to the north to Terra del Fuego in the south, and go from, again, Mexico in the west to Inatel in Brazil in the east. So many universities are already part of this network, and if you're not part of the network, you will learn in a second how to join it. If we look at the statistics about participants, you see that most of them, 70%, are junior scientists, as they're called at the ICTP, so below 35 years. And this is, I believe, really positive. They have, new ideas, and they're going to use what they learned here in their projects and in their studies. We're still not doing very well in terms of gender. We only have 14% of female participants, which is below the average of ICTP's activities. So we need to improve in that sense. So why are we organizing a workshop on TinyML at ICTP, which is a physics center? Well, I would say the reason is because there's many scientific applications of this technology. And just to name a few here, but again, during the week, we will hear much more about it. There is a buoy on the left, and if you think about how these buoys, send data on the internet, in most cases, they have a very thin connection, right? Either through satellite or through some long-range communication protocol. But the point here is that you want to make sense of the data you're gathering in the ocean so that you can only send a smaller amount of data through these thin connections. So being able to make sense of data is really what TinyML is, built for. There is a rain a sensor on the right, and there again, there's way to make sense of the rain, of the sound of rain, for example, using microphones. So you only send that information using the thin connections. And then you have a CERN experiment in the center where people are gathering huge amounts of data, enormous amount of data, and they have, TinyML devices in the experiment so that they can, again, make sense of this huge amount of data and only concentrate in analyzing a smaller amount of data. And this is a news of just a few days ago, and it's about an organization which developed a device which they use in the sea. It's floating in the sea to make sense of other boats moving around and of sound of other boats moving around using TinyML. So these kind of projects which do have a scientific background and sense are starting right now. And again, I believe you're going to be, the first group that kind of develops these kind of applications. I said that these activities are in the framework of what is called the Tiny Machine Learning Academic Network, which is something that we created about a year ago with a number of colleagues. And the aim is to develop a community of researchers and practitioners which are interested in TinyML education. So they're going to use what they, the activities of this network to train other people in using TinyML. So educators, teachers, professors, lecturers, and so on. And secondly, to enable new solutions that use TinyML to solve some real world issues. And part of the activities of the network are joint workshops and seminars, similar to this one. We had other two this year for the African region and for the Asian region. We have an online forum, which you will learn about in a second. But I would say that the bigger goal is to have an exchange of student projects, lesson plans, and real-world deployments, and material, of course, among members of the network. So really the goal is to have, something working in one of your countries shared with, people from other countries so that you can kind of work on the same projects in the region, in our case, but, in the world at large, I would say. The website is TinyMLedu.org, so you can visit it and, use the training material that was prepared, for example. We have 3 pillars in this network. So the first one is to have good training material. Second one is to have reliable equipment in the universities that are part of the network, and then to have a large human network. So if you look at the training material, I would say that we have, the best training material out there. And there's a number of training courses. If you visit TinyMLedu.org/teach, you will find links to the EDX course, which is a complete course in 4 different parts, very detailed, very complete, organized by Harvard University. You have the Coursera course, the Edgimpulse activities. You have all the training material produced by Marcelo Rovai, which again you will learn about today. You have the previous activities that ICTP organized last year and this year. So the final goal is to provide open educational resources. So material that you can use in your country, you can use in your environment, you can modify, and you can, reuse for your own purposes. Reliable equipment. So each university which is part of this network, and all of you that are here today for the workshop, you have one or more of these devices. So we have the Arduino Tiny Machine Learning Kit on the left, which most of you have. And then we have the Seed Studio TinyML kit, which some of the universities have. But the point in our case was to have a standard kit in each university. So then again, if you develop some code, if you develop some tutorials and projects, then you can share the same code with your fellow members so that as they have the same kit, they can reuse the same code in their environment. So I would say that that point of having reliable equipment, we reached through the network. The human networking, we have a Discord channel, and I will share the link in a second, with more than 650 members from all over the world. And that is a very good place where you can exchange ideas, ask questions and you will get a reply. And as you see here, we have people from all over the place, from Africa, from India, from many different countries. So it's kind of an interesting environment. Something about the logistic. So we're going to work 3 hours per day, and time is in UTC here. So of course, as you joined, you know that the time was a few minutes ago to join. But we also have one additional office hour, which means that there's someone from the teaching team available every day at the end of the workshop for 1 extra hour if you need any help with the lab setup. So if you have any issues with the kids, if you have any issue with setting up the environment, well, you have that extra hour where someone is available and can assist you. Something about again, logistics. So ICTP provides a certificate of attendance. So in the old days, that was simple. You met people in the room and you know that they were attending. Nowadays with Zoom, it's a bit more complicated. So the rule is that you need to follow at least 80% of the lectures according to Zoom's log file to automatically get a certificate at the end. So this is fine. So you know that you need to attend, all the lectures or almost all of the lectures to be able to receive a certificate. It's a bit more complicated for people that sit in a big room. And I saw there is a group in Brazil who was here earlier, and there were like 15 people in the room. So I will provide in the chat instructions on how to deal with that kind of situation, okay? So that you all get certificates if you attend in the room, face to face. So that's the ICTP rules, and the log files are what they check. So let's get back to the agenda. You'll see it is a very, very interesting workshop. So the time here is in my time zone. So you have to translate that to your time zone. So today is going to be an introduction. So after this short opening, which is in English, we're going to have a keynote from David Gutiérrez, from one of the co-founders of Arduino. Then we're going to have an introduction to TinyML from Brian Plancher from Barnard College, Columbia University. Introduction to Deep Learning from Diego Mendez from the Javeriana University in Colombia. And then we're going to close the day and have this additional office hour. Second day, we're going to move to hands-on. So we're going to have a hands-on motion classification. So we'll start by setting up edge impulse in the morning. And we're going to have a lab with hands-on motion classification in the anomaly detection. And then we're going to have a number of case studies. This is really interesting. And I want to thank Marcela Rovai for setting this up. And it's case studies from the region, extremely interesting. And we'll have more and more every day. So we're going to have, for example, a case study about animal movement with real-time motion detection. So we learn some theory, we do the hands-on, and then we're going to see how you can apply it in the real world. Day three, we're going to move to the computer vision. So again, we'll have some lectures about convolutions for computer vision. We're going to do some hands-on computer vision, and you see there's the language indicated in the agenda. And then again, we're going to have case studies. So bee counting, we're going to have one case study about satellite application, water quality monitoring, and then something about a personal protective equipment, and then the mask, no mask example. Day four, we're going to move to keyword spotting. This is something that many of us use when you say, hey Siri, or Alexa, but we're going to do that with our small tiny machine, TinyML devices. So we're going to do the hands-on keyword spotting, and then again, more case studies, really interesting one, electric motors, personal security, physical keyboard, and so on. Day five is going to be applications of tiny machine learning for the region. So we're going to start with a presentation about new advances in computer vision. And then we're going to have, more case studies and discussions about kind of interesting ideas and, applications that would be interesting for the region. So please be prepared to, for that discussion. I think that's also going to be very interesting. We're also going to have a presentation about ethics, and you will learn that ethics is really important for these tiny devices, because very often you cannot replace the firmware on the devices, the code. So you need to have ethics in mind from, in designing your TinyML applications. So all the material that will be presented here will be available on the workshop webpage, which we're now going to put in the chat. So you can, again, reuse. You will have the videos as soon as Zoom provides them. So as soon as, Zoom gives us the video from the workshop, we're going to post them on the website. The slides will be available and the code will be available as well. We have the TinyMLedu.org website, and you also have the ICTP version of the webpage. Something about the kind of philosophy of the workshop. We really like this quote from Benjamin Franklin saying, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn." So we really want you to be involved in the activity. And this is why interaction is really important. So you're more than welcome to ask questions at any time. As we have many people, we need to have some sort of room. So there's a button on the bottom of your Zoom, which says reactions. And if you click on that, then you can raise your hand. Okay, so if you have any question, please raise your hand. And once we give you the microphone, please turn on your camera and ask your question. And then after that, lower your hand and mute yourself. Okay, so you can use that to ask questions at any time. If you have longer questions or something that comes to my mind after the workshop, or if you don't want to talk, you can use the Discord channel, which is called ICTP Workshop. So there is a link, which again, we will post in the chat, that you can click on. And by the way, I think you received that in an email. So you can join our Discord channel. And there again, you can ask questions and you will get, someone from the team to reply to you. The good thing about Discord is that the questions and answers will remain after the workshop. So as you know, in Zoom, you can write something in the chat, but once the session is over, you kind of lose it. So you don't have track of that. While in Discord, you can still access the questions and the answers after the workshop. We have a pre-workshop survey. So if you have just a few minutes to fill that, it would be very useful so that we know your background and we can better, adapt the material to your background. So that is something that is useful for us. So please take some time to fill in this pre-workshop survey. And I think this is my last slide, and is, thanks to a number of organizations. So ICTP and Uniface for organizing the activity. We have the Harvard School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. We have TinyML Foundation, Google, Olympus, HarvardX, Arduino, edX, and C. So they all contributed in some way. And as you can imagine, when you have these sorts of workshops, there's many different contributions. So I want to thank all these organizations. And I think that is all from my side. And let's see if Marcelo wants to add.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Marco. Thanks a lot for your introduction. The only point I think that we can invite the students, to during the week, if the students from the university that would like to present some other case studies other than the one that you present here, maybe they can send that like a 2 minutes video for us. Put that in the Discord channel, and let's say Friday we can select some of them, and maybe you can we can give some TinyML kits for them for their own projects. What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll post that information on Discord. So that's another good reason to join Discord, so that you were, posted with the latest information about this opportunity. Yeah. Thank you, Marcelo. So there is a question in the chat about the workshop being in English or Spanish. So Marcelo, if you want to comment on that.
No, en verdad, vamos a hacerlo en español lo más que sea posible. En mi caso voy a hacerlo en portuñol para ustedes, ¿no? Pero no, la idea es tener las charlas lo más posible en español. Lo que tomamos la decisión es, los brasileños que están acá, que son más o menos un tercio de las personas, vamos a entienden un poco el español, pero ahí vamos a tener esto en esto. Algunas de las charlas, como Marco, la charla que vamos a tener ahora con David de Arduino, vamos a tener una charla en español. Pero con Brian va a ser en inglés. Entonces, algunas de las charlas en inglés, porque es importante, porque son gente que conoce mucho y queremos tenerlos acá para hablar con nosotros. Pero la idea es que cada día los hands-on, por ejemplo, las responsabilidades van a ser de las universidades, de los profesores de las universidades, entonces van a ser en español. Entonces esa es la idea. Pero también, mira, los brasileños que están acá, que por ejemplo entienden, pero quedan duda, pueden poner preguntas o en inglés o en portugués, que ahí tenemos varios acá que van a profesores que hablan portugués, inglés y español, que van a ayudar a ustedes. Entonces, pongan las preguntas, si posible, en español o inglés, porque ahí todos pueden entender. Si no, en portugués y nosotros vamos a entender, voy a procurar responder en español o inglés, porque ahí creo que es más fácil. Creo esto, ¿no?